Hey there, friends and farmers. Welcome to another episode of the Growing Farms Podcast. I'm your host, John Suscovich, coming to you from Western Connecticut. And today we're traveling a little further down south for an Ask a Farmer episode with Jordan Greene of J.L. Greene Farm. Now, Jordan has a little bit of an online presence himself as the farm builder entrepreneur. He is raising like a couple hundred breeding sows for pigs. This guy has a wealth of information when it comes to pigs. And it's funny because I got to meet him in person more than once at an American Pastured Poultry Producers Association annual conference. Jordan is as nice in person as he is in his videos, and he is also as willing to share his perspective, his successes and failures, and what has gotten him to where he is today. And where he is today, if the agricultural life, making a business out of it, is what you strive for, Jordan is a great example of just all the things, especially when it comes to pork. Now, I asked Jordan a number of questions, and we're going to record my follow-ups to those questions after his responses. That first question that I asked him was, what is one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
So my name is Jordan Greene, and together with my wife Laura, we own and operate J&L Greene Farm in Edinburgh, Virginia. It's about 90 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. The one thing that I think we could take away from now that we didn't know in the beginning is really the length of time it takes to get traction and make the business do what you want it to do to achieve your goals. There's no shortcut to success. There's no overnight we've arrived kind of thing. It's a long haul. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's going to take 5, 7, 10 years to really get the inertia that you want in your business and start to see things happening. That's what the younger me probably needed to hear was, look, it's going to be a grind. It's going to be years of doing this, but if you stick with it, that's when you punch through the other side, and you can start seeing that return on your investment of time and money and blood, sweat, tears, and all those kind of things.
So, as Jordan says, there's no overnight success. There's no, one of my favorite phrases is that every overnight success is 10 years in the making. And with farming, that number can be long. It can be 2 years, it can be 5 years, it can be 7 years, it can be 10 years before you really gain traction. And one of the major aspects that plays into that is not only your profitability and all the obvious things, but if you are the type of person that is getting into this, you are not going to be happy with mediocrity. You are not going to be happy with your system unless it's fluent and you're feeling great and things are flowing and you're trying to grow and you're making some money and you're supporting some people and you just want to see where that next horizon is. That is the type of entrepreneurial spirit where you're never happy with the status quo. You're growing. And there gets to be a point where you should be happy with where you are. Find out where your happy spot is, where your sweet place, where your scale is, where you're supporting yourself, you're supporting a couple other people to help diversify not only the risk of finances, but risk of if you get sick, who covers the farm for you? How do you do everything and not do it just for yourself? Now, Jordan brought up the 5, 7, 10 years. It may take you that long to grow a business. Farming is subject to not only the average laws of any small business that it takes you, most small businesses fail within the first 2 years, like 90, 80%, 95% of them fail within the first 5 years. And then after that, it's just like, you're riding the wave. And it takes you time not just to grow your market, get some interest, scale up, but growing your knowledge base. You're going to have a lot of successes. You're going to have a lot of failures. And the key to remember here is don't let those failures get you down. Use them as growth points. You failed, great. Fail faster next time. Get to the point where you're just screwed up. And I'm trying to keep this, PG here. Where you've made a mistake, and hopefully it's not catastrophic, business-ending mistake, but you're gonna make mistakes. And that doesn't mean you're a bad person. That doesn't mean you didn't try. That doesn't mean you're not smart enough, and that doesn't mean you can't handle this. What it means is that there was something that you didn't see coming, and now you know. You know, there was a old cattle farmer friend of mine was giving a presentation, and he was the expert in the room. And he asked everybody, why do you think I'm the expert? And there was a couple different answers. And he said, the reason why I'm the expert is because I've killed more cows willingly and unwillingly than anybody in this room. And, you know, livestock is going to die by your hand, at your hands, whether you intend it to or not. Nature is going to cause it. Predators are going to cause it. Your own negligence or stupidity or whatever. You're going to forget something. You're going to leave a fence down for a day, or something's going to get out. Things are going to happen. You're going to grow. And it's those growth points, those pain points that make sure you don't do it again. And the more you go through, the more you can talk to other people about it, the more you can try to find those hurdles, identify those questions ahead of time. When you're beginning out, you ask the question, how do I start a farm? That is so broad and so hard to answer for so many people because every person's situation is going to be different. But once you get into it, once you start doing it, once you take that leap, once you buy a stress-free chicken tractors plans book and you start raising your first batch of chickens, then you grow that batch of chickens, you grow a few more chicken tractors, and you're building up your business. And this is my inline plugs for all of my books and resources here at farmmarketingsolutions.com. Once you're started growing your business, you're not asking, how do I start a farm? You're asking, how do I increase feed efficiency for my Ross 308 Cornish cross specific breed line? And how do I formulate that feed and mix it with a properly seeded pasture in order to maximize my productivity without sacrificing the humane methods in which I raise my poultry? And those are the things that are going to help you and drive you going forward. That constant process. Life is a process. There's no end goal here. You are just waking up in the morning and saying, was yesterday great? Awesome. How do I repeat it and make it even better? Was yesterday great? No. All right. What went wrong and how do I fix it? You know, and those moments of self-reflection while you're doing evening chores or morning chores are the most valuable thing you can do in your business. And you'll find joy in that. You'll find joy in the process. You'll struggle, but then you're going to fix it. And you're going to fix it in a very tangible, hands-on way. Whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's production, whether it's growing out your pigs, your chickens, whatever, that is going to be very rewarding. And I want to know from Jordan in our next question, what is one of the most enjoyable aspects for you about being a farmer?
For me, farming is the sum of everything I enjoy doing. So I didn't start out saying I want to farm. It was I want to be my own boss. I love working with animals. I love working with machinery and people and being outside, all these different things. And the sum of all of those was, well, I guess I'm going to be a farmer. So when I was a teenager, the first farm I worked on was a horse farm that also had 2 large confinement poultry houses. And so I knew, worked in those, had that experience working in the industry system. I knew I didn't want to do it that way. And so I had to find another way to do it. And so here I am, in the pasture-based kind of movement. But it gives me the most satisfaction and fulfillment of things I enjoy doing, and that's a very privileged position. I think not a lot of people get to do that, and so whenever we're slogging around in the mud in 35 degrees, that's what I remind myself of this is what you want to do. So get after it.
Jordan, in this. For the answer to this question, Jordan gave the answer that I would have given. That farming for me, the career that I've chosen, and it just happens that I hit gold with being part of a farm brewery, is everything I could ever want to do all wrapped into one. I do the beer photography for us where I get to take pretty pictures. I get to take pictures and videos of animals and livestock and things growing on the farm. I get to work with machinery. I'm outside if I want to be, inside if I want to be. My schedule is flexible. I get to be with my family. Everything I could possibly, like every hobby, every interest that I've ever had, if you tried to roll it into one package and possibly contain it, it would be agriculture. And that I see in Jordan's response. And They're just like the smile on his face as he says it, because those 35-degree days when you're wallowing in the mud, like I've had my ruthlessly terrible days. Like the low lows are really low, but the high highs on farm are really high. And that makes for a really good median average, where the day-to-day is just spectacular. I get to create things with my hands and with my brain that other people get to enjoy, both tactilely, both sensorily in their, get to taste and experience and help them grow their bodies and their family. But I also get to tease and test out their intellect. Farming gives me all of that, all of it. And for that, I am just incredibly grateful. I joke when I'm giving my farm tours that I'm 13 years old. I'm 13 years old. I'm still playing with Tonka trucks. I have machines. I'm digging in the dirt and, making jokes about poop, animal poop. I make jokes about animal poop all day. It's manure if you want to be professional, but it's poop if you're me. So Jordan, just the best answer there, that farming can be a very rewarding lifestyle. If you're stuck at a desk, if you're stuck in an office, if you find yourself in a era where we are defining ourselves by whether or not we are essential to keep humankind going, farming and agriculture is something that spans the countries, spans the states, spans the ecosystem, spans political lines. Food can be very political, but at the end of the day, everybody eats. Everybody's looking for something healthy to eat. Jordan spent some time in confinement poultry houses and confinement livestock operations and decided that there was and there is a better way. And that is pasture-based, management-intensive, rotational grazing agriculture, where you are doing the best you can for the health of the soil. Everything comes down to the soil. It is measurable, it is tangible, it's something you can see, touch, feel, and measure in a lab. You can say, we have this much organic matter in our soil. It could be zero, it could be whatever, and we're going to increase it while feeding people, because we're feeding the grass, which is feeding the livestock, which is feeding the people, and our food chain is connected and cyclical around us, and that's something we feel and experience on a day-to-day basis. And I can't express enough how amazing that is. And for the trials and tribulations that you will go through of animals dying, of customers being just crappy, just people treating you like dirt, condescending remarks, people wondering about your pricing, crappy comments on YouTube or whatever social media. There are negatives to this, and that comes with the territory. And they will weigh on you. One negative comment will outweigh 100 positive comments any day of the week. And that is just part of our human psyche, because we are judging ourselves as hard as anybody else is judging us. And at the end of the day, I sleep well because I know I'm doing my darndest for my family, my friends, my community, and for my animals, and for my plants and the things that I am growing. I am trying my best on a day-to-day basis to make the world a better place, and to me that is a ray of sunshine. That is fulfilling. Sunshine that I can feel, because if I choose to, even if I don't, I have to go outside. When it's super hot outside, I have to go outside and give extra water to my animals, spray down my birds to make sure they're not overheating and stressed out. I have to experience nature's rhythm, and instead of fighting it, instead of saying, oh, we're battling nature, oh, nature is a force to be reckoned with, it's something to be embraced. That's what's coming. The seasons, as unpredictable as weather can be, if you look at it at a day-to-day basis, seasonally, especially because I'm in the Northeast and we have 4 seasons, can be very predictable. Snow happens, freezing happens, and you develop your systems around the fact that there are different variables within your life. And the more you embrace the unknown, the more the unknown becomes known and comfortable. And you, in a time where the world has been upended in a pandemic, the known of the agriculture, the known of my unknown, is a place of comfort and solace that I relish on a day-to-day basis, and I do my best through my videos, my podcasts, and my website to share with others. Now, because we all have to function as a business in order to succeed as farmers, I wanted to know from Jordan, what is one of your marketing successes and what is one of your challenges as you try to be a professional producer?
Kind of in the weeds of marketing, one of our biggest successes was translating the business from a one-to-one relationship of time with the customer. So, you're spending 1 minute standing there at the farmer's market while the customer is hemming and hawing about what they want to buy. A breakthrough for us was changing that ratio of moving the majority of our sales to an online platform where orders can come in at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and we've eliminated that ratio of our time to the customer's time, that we can give them quality content and representation of our product, but we don't have to spend the same amount of time that they do deciding if it's T-bone or porterhouse today. And that really allowed us to blow up our marketing efforts and increase revenue and all these things that are vital for a farm to be successful as a business, more than just a lifestyle farm or a hobby farm or a homestead. That was kind of our breakthrough moment when we figured out how to break that kind of bottleneck of our time. It kind of goes back to the grind that you hope that this one wholesale account or this one thing over here is going to be your breakthrough on marketing, and it just never quite works out that way. That there's not going to be one big thing that is just going to be the salvation of your enterprise, and you get your hopes up on those things when you're talking with a big distributor or another farm, or you're trying to set up these things where, wow, this is going to bring in so much revenue. It just never quite materializes in the way that we think it does. So that's just kind of always a challenge of hanging your hopes on something and then it doesn't materialize and you realize, yes, this is the marathon. There's not going to be the shortcut that I can take across the trail to get ahead of everyone else. We got to work for it.
Now, I love how Jordan answered these questions. What is one marketing success and what is one marketing challenge? Marketing success, outsourcing your time, making it easier for people to do business with you. Going from the farmer's market where you're very much hand selling, talking people through the different cuts, very focused on getting them into your pipeline, becoming new customers. And that you do a lot of that in the beginning, where you're selling your product, not only your product, but your production method, why it's better than the next guy's, why your price point makes sense. And there's a lot of hand-to-hand selling and generating. You can't understate that initial time at the farmer's market, at your farm store, doing farm tours for free, just educating people, getting that core base, like getting a foothold, that first needle in the fabric of that tapestry that is your business. I don't know, that popped into my head, is important. But at some point you're going to grow out of that because you're spending a lot of time for each sale. And then you'll realize that you can record those conversations, you can write those conversations down, you can hire a writer, which I'm doing right now with Farm Marketing Solutions, to help tell your story in a way that's not verbose, because I tend to talk too much, and can be very concise and to the point and to the very cut to the core of not what you want people to hear, but what people need to hear in order to want your product. And that is very important. So Jordan, moving into online sales, this is very relevant to our time right now, where more and more people are buying online. We're doing curbside pickup. My own personal business, we sold out of all of our protein, and now I'm raising animals as fast as I can in order to sell more product through our farm store, not just our farm products, but our beer as well. Because people are doing curbside pickup, we're doing all our sales online. So there's a complete contactless transaction where we put your stuff on a table, you pick it up off the table and put it in your car. No two humans touch each other, because that is what virus life is like right now. And it's terrible and I hate it, but it is what it is. But you find creative sales avenues where you can maximize your effect, but not your effort. you put in the effort, and I do this with Farm Marketing Solutions, which has been my test plot. You're here for a reason because you've come into my podcast, the YouTube videos, the books that I've published, the resources that I've shared, because I have taken the time to produce those things so that they go out into the world and they feed people. My goal here with Farm Marketing Solutions is to inspire and educate the next generation of farmers. And am I producing things at the biggest scale? No. I do a lot of science experiments. I do a lot of, feed testing, and I'm growing at a smaller scale these days. I make more of my money off of being part of a brewery and selling beer and working with that whole group, but that's covered elsewhere, my content. My effect is that I have this information, and instead of having one conversation 1,000 times, I've taken all those conversations and put it in a place where 1,000 people can interact with it without having to interact with me and hear it from my mouth directly. And then I can reinforce it with new content, with my free farm tours that I give before the whole social distancing thing, through my regular contact in whatever ways I can. All of that stuff has stayed evergreen because raising chickens is raising chickens. Raising pigs is raising pigs. Starting a business is starting a business. You have to be agile and you have to adapt to the times, but the core tenets, the process of it, doesn't necessarily change that much. It's just staying agile and being able to adapt and being open-minded to adjust to the market demands and the trends of your time. Now, Jordan, that was just an awesome response, and I just repeat everything that he says as part of my answers to this podcast video episode. Now, his challenge, no one thing being a success, telling you a story real quick. With Farm Marketing Solutions, I published a book, and I've now published 3 books. And then I would think, if I get onto this news outlet or this podcast, and this podcast touts that it gets 100,000 downloads per episode, if I can capture 3% of that audience and convert them into buying books, I can, this is what I make per book, and I'm capturing 3% of 100,000. This is how much I might be able to make off that episode. And I would think like, this is when my business elevates. And it never works out that way. Banking on any one thing, trying to put all your eggs in one basket, to use a very appropriate metaphor, is foolish. And we're finding out now more than ever what is actually essential, what works for us, and what is going to make our business more solid going forward. And that solidity comes from having diversified income streams. Not only do I have the farm brewery and I'm doing my work over there and we have our income from that, but I have YouTube, a podcast, books, affiliate links, all these things that I've been building up for 10 years that have diversified my income stream, that I'm still making some money when there's other people who aren't making money. And that is like, it's crazy. And I am sorry that there are people who are suffering right now. I'm doing my best and I'm working my butt off at the moment to try to capitalize on my situation. But I saw something like this coming 10 years ago, and I had that revelation and said, I need to change my life. I need to go down this path. And I changed my direction, my career path. I moved into sustainable agriculture. I'm growing my own food, building up a local economy, people who are around me who would support what I'm doing, what I can support what they're doing. There's a lot of barter of like, I have chickens, you have bread or vegetables or whatever. There's a lot of back and forth, and I feel more solid in that as times are tough because I've made all those decisions and sacrifices along the way. And like Jordan said, it's a grind. Sometimes it's very, very hard. There's a lot of times where it's rewarding. And at the end of the day, what we do, growing food, is very essential. Now, if you are not growing food and you're listening to this, appreciating the people who are growing food and either paying a little bit more if it's raised sustainably, buying from them a little bit more often because they're local instead of buying cheap Tyson chicken, whatever you can afford, whatever level of commitment you can provide to something that is fundamentally a little bit more stronger is a good thing. That's a wonderful thing. Now, I asked Jordan because we were at an APA conference, the American Pasture Poultry Producers Association, APP. There's a lot of P's in there. It's APA.org. We're at the APA conference, and I asked them what is one of the benefits of being a member during the year, and what is one of the benefits of being a member during the conference, and hear those answers right now.
One of the things that we can get with APA is that community of other farmers and experiences that they have, and you don't have to invent the wheel for everything that you're trying to figure out with your farm. You already have enough challenges to your unique context of your farm. It's nice to have that community of people who have been doing it for a long time or have explored different ways of how to process, an enclosed facility, open air, exempted, USDA, all these other things that you can access that information and shallow out the learning curve on what your particular problem is. You don't have to go at it alone down into the slough of despair and figure it out. There's a community of people out there who have experience, have a lot of knowledge, have incredible understanding of the regulatory environment, of the marketing environment. Those tools that you need to make your farm unique in your area. They are above and beyond willing to share that information with you in a way that you don't see in a lot of other industries. There's a lot of cloak and dagger, secret squirrel stuff in a lot of industries. You don't see that in the regenerative ag community a lot, and especially here at the APA conference. Any question you have, there's going to be half a dozen answers for.
Of course, Jordan gives a great plug for APA, for the American Pasture Poultry Producers Association. You're around people with all of this, and it doesn't matter if it's just APA or if it's a beef producers, if it's a veggie producers. Finding those organizations is critical to your success because you are with like-minded individuals who have been there before, who have done it, who are going to help you grow. And even if you've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years, I've met people at APA who have been like, I thought I was the only person in my area doing this, and it turns out there's this whole organization, and I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been preaching this stuff, and I've learned so much. Gals, definitely older than I am. I'm not that old at this point, and it's just valuable to seek out of those other resources and become a member of that community. Now, this podcast, these videos. There's only one sponsor, farmmarketingsolutions.com. And normally I would plug the stuff that I have to provide. I asked Jordan to plug what he has going on and just give me the details, the rundown, where are the links. Jordan, where can people find more of the information about you and what you are all about?
So, started a YouTube channel a couple years ago called Farm Builder. I wanted to put out content for farms that are looking to do this regenerative agricultural stuff at scale. There's a lot of awesome channels out there that are doing the homestead level or maybe the small lifestyle farm, but wasn't a lot of good content for big scale, farms that are trying to do $500,000 in sales, $5 million in sales. And that's what we wanted to address, was how to do these great pastured-based enterprises, but do them at a scale that is going to build a real income for you if you want to be on the farm full time and make a go at it. So started off with a little YouTube channel. It's kind of taken off a little bit on its own. A large Facebook group called Farm Builder Entrepreneurs. It is a fairly moderated group, but we stay focused on the topics of what does it take to build a successful agricultural business in today's environment, and we don't get sidetracked from that. We're not going to get distracted on other issues. It's about what will it take for me to build a business that's profitable and achieving what I want. And it's been a wild ride for 2 years. It's fun to see where it's gone. So you can find that on Facebook. You can look at Farm Builder. The Farm Builder group is Farm Builder Entrepreneurs. If you just put it in the search bar, you'll find it. On YouTube, you can find me at Farm Builder. And then Twitter, Instagram, just put in Farm Builder. I'll probably be the one that pops up, and you can follow along there.
And now we're back to me, John. I hope you guys enjoyed today's interview for Ask a Farmer. These episodes are going to come out all year round, so please subscribe to the podcast. Stay happy, stay healthy, and until next time, I will see you out in the field.